Beat baseball history set. Bam, bam.
Well, good day to you. Top of the afternoon to you on a Friday, but
Yeah.
on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we could say Sunday afternoon, pretend like we're doing the show live.
Just cruising on a Sunday afternoon. You know how it is, Neil Dog.
Yes. Well,
Nothing I like better than a Sunday afternoon. After a little football, my Cowboys have just crushed the LA Chargers.
So you hope. Actually, I hope that they'll help my Raiders. So I do hope your Cowboys win this week. Good luck to your Cowboys. I don't say that very often, but good luck to your Cowboys.
And I got to say, I'm liking the fact that the LA Chargers are local coverage now. We get to watch the game.
I don't know if it's your mic or one of our guests, but we are getting some crazy noise coming in. We'll see. We'll let it play out, but we will bring in our guests. We are going to be featuring both the Atlanta Chaos and the NBBA games of the week that were featured during this past 2021 World Series. So let me first bring in the head coach of the Atlanta Chaos, Mr. Roy Cody. I almost didn't get it right. Just learned your first name. But hello, Mr. Coach Cody. How are you?
I'm fine. Good evening. Good evening, Bam Bam. Good evening, Neil. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Now we got a show worked out. We got something to work with this week. So doing great. Appreciate you jumping in and joining us. Look forward to talking about your team. But first, we need to bring in our other guest, Miss Rosina Coleman, who did all of the NBBA games of the week, who also does play-by-play for all of the Atlanta Chaos streams. Hello, Rosina. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, everybody.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I told you when I first contacted you, I listened to you so much over the World Series that I feel like I have, like I know you a little bit. I became very familiar with your voice listening to you every day.
Well, thank you.
Oh, we have the Gremlins back. You hear the Gremlins? You hear that on
Yeah, I hear that. I didn't know if that was coming from your computer or I'm not sure.
That's
I think it might be Coach Cody.
Let me move inside.
We might have to get the hook out, bench coach. Well, while you're on the move, because it's clear while you're moving. Tell us about your background, how you became head coach of this up-and-coming Atlanta Chaos team.
Well, my background, I have a military background, retired 20 years ago from the Marine Corps. And while I was there, I was a drill instructor. So I'm used to, dealing with, individuals for, conditioning and stuff like that.
Right.
How I came about for his coaching, my son, he was playing with the Atlanta Eclipse years ago, and they kind of dismantled. And so him and Chubby and Garrett, they all started playing with St. Louis Firing Squad, which required them to be on the road to go to practice and stuff like that. So that was a major concern for my wife and myself, which, my wife is the manager. So they played with them, I guess, 2-3 years. And then some things happened and they said they wasn't going to play anymore. So when my wife got together and I said, and talked to my son and said, hey, you guys get yourself together and I'll coach. And my wife said, she'll manage. And it took off from there.
Wow. Well, first, I would like to just say thank you for your service. Appreciate what you gave for all of us. But a comment you made about like the training part of it being similar for sports. Like I've always, because sports usually comes, I think, for people before the military should. But I've always believed that sports, for somebody that wanted to go into the military, I've always believed that sports would be a good kind of like training course for them, because you have to, it's that same concept of learning to work as a team instead of an individual. You agree?
Yes, I agree. And prior to the military, I played sports. I played baseball, basketball. I played all the sports throughout as a kid, recreation ball and stuff like that. So the concept was there. And
Okay.
you know,
And so your son is a player for the Chaos now?
yes, he's been playing since we started up.
All right.
Mhm.
Cool. Rosina, but because we're going to dive into the Atlanta Chaos as a team. But so one of my questions, Rosina, was going to be how, because I believe you're in Missouri, how you ended up doing streams for the Atlanta Chaos, but hearing that some of their players played in St. Louis, is that the connection?
Well, I had a very, very close friend of mine who, when they started playing for the firing squad, said, "Hey, why don't you come to St. Louis? Why don't you catch a couple of our games?" So I went up. I like to support my friends, and I've been involved in sports my whole life. So I thought it was great. I've been in the blindness community for 23 years, and that's I didn't get involved in streaming right away for the Chaos. I was mostly just coming to the tournaments, watching, having a good time. And then another friend from another team, when I was out in Vegas, asked me to describe the exhibition game out in Vegas for him. So I did that.
Was that the game between the Las Vegas and the Southern Cal team? Is that
Yes.
All right, cool.
And so they did an exhibition game there. I described it. They really liked it. So Richie Flores said, "Hey, why don't you start streaming for the Chaos?" I said, "Well, I'm going anyway. Might as well." And it just kind of happened from there.
Had you done anything like that before?
I do a lot of audio describing, yes. Never with sports, but
yeah, I obviously to keeping her like her business life private, but I'll tell you more later or whatever. It'll make more sense or whatever. But she is a professional describer, so not in sports. But one thing, going back to the sports part of it, a problem, not a problem, I guess, something that I don't care for as much when people are streaming beat baseball games is doing too much of the play-by-play in beat baseball terms. And like calling out zones, especially there's a few reasons why I don't like calling out zones when somebody's doing play-by-play is for one, not all the teams use the same zone system. So even from one blind player to another, you're not necessarily giving them the accurate information that they know. But also a lot of the streams we're hoping like family members or friends or just people randomly come along and learn about the sport. So if we're talking zones, that makes a game that's already a little bit confusing, more confusing, I think. And one thing I loved from the very first game I heard you doing is you say left field, center field, short right field. You use baseball descriptions that make sense to everybody, in my opinion. So I give you credit for that. Probably because you might not have a background of knowing all the zones or whatever, but please don't change.
Is that a conscious decision on your part, or is that just something?
That is more. I've been describing, like I said, for over 20 years for my sons because they're blind, and so I have just kind of grown up doing everything, whether it's walking by a store while there's walking down the aisles, just kind of saying on your left or on your right is this, it's about shoulder high. So I just kind of just consciously describe in just everyday layman terms because it started when my kids were very little.
Yeah, so it's second nature for you to just kind of spit stuff out, kind of like it is for Seth's kids. Seth's kids growing up with a blind father. I love when I'm around them because it's so natural for them to, just describe something or tell, you know what I mean? So I'm guessing for you, it's like second nature.
Yes.
Coach, I'm sorry. I keep diving off screen and grabbing things and stuff. it is truly a Friday afternoon, and so a lot of things are going on in my world at this moment. So hopefully I'm not being distracted, but I've answered a couple phone calls. It's all good.
Seth is a football coach, and his son has a game tonight. So one of his 3 kids have a game tonight. So we're squeezing this in before they hit the road. But actually, speaking of the describing and Seth's distraction, something that's common. I don't know if the birds probably aren't even out when I ask this, but are they or they're not?
No, they're not. They're not.
I was going to ask Rosina because, sometimes Seth's birds start landing on his head and messing with his face during the show. But the blind audience never knows what's going on. It's like, man, if that happens tonight, Rosina, will you just pop in and start giving description of what the birds are doing? But
Absolutely.
excellent. Hey, so Coach, man, let's talk about your Atlanta team because you guys had a fabulous year this year. I believe this is just the 2nd year of your existence that I know of, even though the 2020 season for the most part was shut down because of COVID.
Right.
You were one of the teams that made it out and played in a tournament, made a good showing. But man, you guys, I believe your final finish was 8th place at the World Series this year. Is that? Am I remembering right? I meant to look that up and didn't. But
That's correct. That's
yeah,
correct.
no, that's really impressive. Talk about your team's success. Why do you think you guys were able to jump in so high this year?
Well, when we, like I say, we called that tournament that first year, we was invited up to Chicago, I believe, and we played well there. And just being our first game and being in a series and playing in a tournament, I seen the camaraderie and how the team came together, and they knew the following year they was going to do better. The more we played, the more we practiced and whatnot. So this past year, all we had in mind was we're a series. So got to the series, and the team they just came together. Like we only went with like 7 players, but they had the mindset to we're just gonna give it all we got, and we did well.
You guys had 7 total players at the World Series?
Yes.
Wow. That's impressive.
That's a hard feat to pull off.
Oh yeah.
People
two of them got injured, but they continued to play. So my hats off to them. They gave me 110. And that's one of our mottos. You give me 110, I'm gonna give you 110. And we family when we start, we family when we end, and that's how we did it.
That shows a lot of grit. One of your players that has had Seth and my attention over the summer was Justin Holland, and like in the early tournaments, that guy's knocking home runs. I remember him hitting at least like 2, maybe 3 home runs in the tournaments over the summer.
Yeah.
And Seth, because there's one tournament where Justin played with Value City Heat, and that's been Seth's family for the last 13 years. And I remember when I came on talking about all the home runs, Seth's like, man, this guy for the Heat was out there, grabbing all the balls on defense. And then at the World Series, the guy made the defensive all-star too. Could you tell us a little bit about this guy? It seems like a great 2-way player.
Yes. I call him Jay. Justin Dutch, we call him. He lives and breathes baseball. He's a great athlete. He's fit. He has a love for the game. It's just in his heart.
Yeah.
And he came and practiced with us like that first year, and he wanted to join. I was welcome to have him. And like I say, when he comes to practice, he's gonna give you everything. He's just all around fit guy, and he has a love for the game. Yeah.
Can I ask? I know I feel we're gonna ask some other questions of the of you and stuff, but I'm interested. So you coach your son, correct?
Yes,
he's on the team. How has that been for you? And did you have expectations of when you grew up, or when he was born and stuff like that, thinking, did you dream about like coaching your son and stuff like that?
No,
And, how does he, how does your relationship and his relationship work out on the field and stuff like that? Is he welcoming to you, or what I'm saying? I mean, there's always those little things that go on between kids and parents. How does that work out for you guys?
well, when he was a kid, he was started playing goal ball actually, and he played that for numerous years until he got up in his teens, and then his late teens he switched over to beat baseball, and I never imagined coaching him or anything until the idea came when they decided to leave the firing squad. But as far as coaching him and whatnot, he just like one of the other players out there. He gets it just like the rest of them. So he would tell you that, and the rest of the team would tell you that. But he's really low key, and he does his thing, and he gives me what I ask for.
I was sitting here thinking about what an interesting dynamic it is between the two of you, because here's Seth's a blind father who coaches like his son's sighted football team, and
Right.
you got a sighted father coaching his son's blind meatball team or whatever. Man, it's kind of a cool dynamic between you.
Yeah. I look at that as this is what was meant to happen. Like I said, throughout the years, I always supported him and what he did for us playing sports and whatnot. But to come to coach him, I never had that in mind until, like I said, the last couple of years, and I was like, hey, that might work. Yeah. It works out fine.
Hey, Rosina, along these same lines, because you've mentioned that you have 2 blind sons. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So I don't. How old are they? Are they like sports age?
So honestly, I would love for them to play. They're 23 and 20, and they're both in college, trying to do the college thing, get jobs, travel around, do their own thing. And so for them squeezing it in, my oldest was very sports orientated, ran track, all that in high school.
Oh, cool.
So, but yeah, just I guess it's not their thing. I mean, I never was really into baseball until beat ball. I was more of a basketball girl, basketball, swimming, and track. But they've gone to a couple of the tournaments with me, to check it out. But it just doesn't seem
not
to be
pulling at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. With you and the NBBA games of the week, what was that experience like for you? I believe you and Matt did 7 games together in total.
Yes, we did 7 games. I was definitely nervous at the beginning, not just calling it out jokingly on a phone, kind of having a little fun with it. Seemed much more serious. But one of my favorite things about beat baseball is the family-like atmosphere. That you don't see in a lot of sports. I mean, you've got, siblings out there, parents out there spotting, volunteers, runners, and it's just really easy to get caught up in the excitement and feeling like you really belong out there in a very short time. And so it was really fun. And it just started with Matt the first day. I just met him, and it just worked really well. And it didn't seem like there was a lot of pressure.
This is a honest to goodness truth, like from my first reaction. The first game I heard was you and Matt and actually Dave Benny were all together doing, I think, a Philadelphia game, if I remember.
Yeah, it was a Chaos versus the Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. I didn't even remember that part.
Yeah, we just did it kind of to see if we could, to kind of work out some kinks before the game started.
My honest initial reaction was like, wow, the NBBA found somebody with a sports play-by-play background to do these games. I literally thought you were a professional play-by-play person. Just by your delivery was so smooth and cool. I thought that's what you did for a living.
Nope. I'll do it any chance I can get.
So then is it your plan to stay involved, not just with Atlanta, but hopefully doing the NBBA games going forward?
As long as it's within driving distance and they want me, you betcha.
All right.
Oh, you're not a flyer?
No, if I'm going to be someplace for a whole week, I'll drive. That way I have my wheels with me.
For
I
many,
like to
many
say-
years, I always took the train to the World Series because I refused to fly. So, so I'm always looking for those people who are John Madden-esque.
Even when, because we're in California, even when the World Series was in Florida for the first time, Seth spent 3.5 days on a train going and 3.5 days on a train coming back. He didn't start flying until he had kids and couldn't afford to give up a week to travel anymore. Coach, you were trying to jump in there?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on Rosina, her expertise and how she does the streaming and whatnot. I'll be too busy out there, doing the coaching thing, and I know she'd be over there, videoing. But when I get downtime and I start looking back at the playbacks and I listen, I'm like, wow, she really makes the game, bring the game alive. I really didn't know that until into my downtime. So Rosina, my hat's off to you. You really do a great job at what you do.
Well, thank you.
I'm not saying, I'm saying this more as a compliment. I'm not trying to apply for anybody's job or anything, but like doing the role that Matt does is something that I've believed for years that I would be good at. And when Jared Woodard, who is the second vice president and in charge of the PR department, he reached out to me during the World Series and just to see if I had been listening to the streams and if I had any feedback. And again, this wasn't anything with Matt. It was more how much I was enjoying the streams. I was like, man, it is my goal to be at the World Series next year, sitting next to Rosina doing these games. So not in place of Matt, joining you guys, but I was enjoying it so much. Like, man, I want to go work some games with these people. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
She does well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt definitely has a head for numbers. I could not keep track of all those stats. I just want to describe the game, and I could not keep track of this. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, in yesterday's game in the third inning, that was the same." I was like, well, how do you remember that?
He had my attention going back to like last summer, listening in on it was just an exhibition game between the Philly Fire and the New Jersey Titans. And he did the stream then, and just doing it all by himself or whatever. I found the stream entertaining. So I know it's something that he's working at professionally or going towards. I'm not sure if he's like still like a student, like a journalist student, or if he's already moved on. But I know it's something he wants to do as a profession. So he has a great delivery. So he's well on his way. Coach, so for the Atlanta Chaos going forward, obviously you guys need to get more players because it's never going to be a good long-term plan to go to a 5-day tournament with 7 players.
Oh man, that's glory, man. The greater the challenge, the greater the glory.
No, listen, I salute the group that does it, but I mean, every team in the World Series has somebody with a pulled hamstring or something by the end of the first day. So there's no flexibility with that. So outside of getting more players, what do the Chaos need to do to take another step?
Well, like I say, we do have more players, but they wasn't able to go to the World Series. But we still need to get more. But we work on our pitching and whatnot. And like I said, as we get more players, more practice in, I think we'll make us a stronger team as we come into the next season.
Since we talked about your son a bit during the show, what kind of player is he? Like, is his strength offense, defense? Where's he like to play on defense?
He's like to play like number 6 in the zones.
See, that's what I was talking about. Now, like on the Dogs, we never had a number 6 really. So with Seth and I don't even know what you're talking about. So infield, outfield,
hey, that's
right
kind of like playing. That's like kind of like playing left out, you know.
Roy is much of a clinch player. Like when the first tournament we played against Chicago, and he was the one that won the game. You know, he's a clinch player. You know, he comes up when he comes up. But like I said, he'll give it 110. Yes, he give it 110.
Well, awesome.
No, you don't do the daddy ball thing, huh? No daddy ball. no breaks for your son, huh?
No, if he's performing well, he's gonna, get out. He's gonna do his thing. If he's not performing, then I gotta, put someone out there that's gonna perform. It just goes that way.
All right. Do you handle like the defense out there, or obviously your background in conditioning and stuff like that, but what about like are you designing the defense and on them, or do you guys have somebody else that works with you guys?
Well, some of the guys I have on the team, like Cody, some of the guys, most of the guys are veterans, and they have defenses that they want to work with. So I have them get out there and work their defense. We'll talk about it and whatnot, and they show me how it's going to work and we'll try it. If it's working, we'll go with it. If it's not working, we'll go to another defense. So like I say, I'm new to this, and I got some veteran players, so we ought to kind of come together and we talk about it, and then we'll work it. If it works out for us, we'll do it. If it don't work, put it on the shelf.
I heard a rumor that our friend of the show, Darnell Booker, came down your way and helped you out a little bit. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. Darnell, he came down and he brought some players down, and they did some drills with us, helped us out a lot and whatnot. We did a scrimmage game, which was pretty good. Had a lot of people kind of come out, got a little exposure with it. And Darnell helped us out a lot.
Cool. It's something we hear more and more about, like from different teams, is Darnell showing up at their practices, or go down, spending a weekend with them and helping them out. Darnell's a good man along those lines.
He likes to wave those 5 rings in front of everybody. So.
He's gonna let you know. He's gonna let you know about those 5. It was 4 rings.
He only had 4 then.
But it's great, to hear, and like I say, his experience and his knowledge is he pass it on. And like what we're trying to do here is down here in the South, in Atlanta and whatnot, beat baseball is not like out there like it is up north. So we're trying to get it more exposed, and we're trying to get with sponsors and donors, and hopefully have a tournament here next year to invite some teams down, so we get that exposure and whatnot. And Darnell has gave us the put his hand out and say, hey, I will come and help you with it. So like Darnell, he's helping us out a lot. That's been helping us out a lot.
It'd be really cool, actually, if you did get a regional tournament going, because there used to be multiple teams in both North and South Carolina.
Right.
Just 8 years ago, when the World Series was in Columbus, Georgia, there were 4 teams there. So, I mean, a regional tournament in that area might revive some of those teams in that area. It'd be good to see.
And that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Rosina, something that you said about being involved, like with the team and being at the World Series, that really hit home with me, and it hit me that it's really like the streams that have brought me back to this. But you talked about the family atmosphere, basically, and the camaraderie, the camaraderie you get with any sport, but with this sport in our World Series, when a team spends 8-10 days together at a World Series, you spend so much more time together. And I haven't played in a World Series since 2009, and I've missed that. But it wasn't really until hearing all these streams where I'm basically sitting on somebody's sideline bench with them in a way, and hearing all this stuff, the ribbing going back and forth and all that stuff, like the stuff you hear at the bench that you can't hear at home without the stream. That's what really has made me miss like that family atmosphere. Just, I don't know. When you talked about it, that's been kind of resonating with me ever since you said that. So I guess it's another reason just to like thank you and anybody that does a stream for any of the teams, because our sport's not on any national network. So people like yourself jumping in and doing the streams brings it to all of our living room, family room, whatever. And gotta thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's kind of my goal is I sit there when I'm someplace and I think about, the smells or the popcorn, and I just think about, what everything that you might see and take in that, you might not really pay attention to. So what I have a tendency to do when I go someplace, when I'm sitting there in front of the mic before we actually go live, is I'll tend to close my eyes for about 2 to 3 minutes. And I'll just try to absorb some of that and then kind of give that back out, because those are the things that we get we get that information from, but we really don't pay attention to it. It just kind of clicks without even noticing it. And so I try to close my eyes and think about those things, to try to give that feedback back, because that is part of the experience is, those smells or how hot it is or the bugs chirping, the sweat dripping, the teams, back and forth at one another. That's kind of the whole point, that's the experience. So I do want to try to give as much of that as possible.
It's impressive that you like take a moment and do that, really, because for one, that's not a lot of people will do that. But going back to like I lost my eyesight at 10, right? Just a month before I turned 11, went from 20/20 to 0. And that summer I started working with my first like O&M instructor. And I remember him explaining to my mom, just like pointing out the window at like the wind blowing the leaves. He's like, like when you and I look out the window, and we just take for granted that there's a noise that accompanies that. You know what I mean? When we look out and see leaves blowing, we just assume it's from wind or whatever. Whereas like once you close your eyes, you like take in all the stuff that your vision forces you to take for granted, I guess.
Yeah, I do have a tendency to, I have done cane training. I do blindfold myself and I do use a cane. I'm not great at it, granted. But I do that regularly and as well as Braille. So
that's impressive.
Probably outread us, Neil Dog.
No, I still have to convert. I'll be like, let's see, that's STA. So I'm slow, but
Seth and I are both slow. We're two of the lazy types that once we got out of high school, we just started using audio textbooks and not dealing with Braille. And Seth had the idea, not for this show, a show we used to do, that we like have a race, like get one page of Braille, so you could finish it.
That might take you a whole show.
Yeah, no, there wasn't enough tape for us to do a whole page together. You had said on the phone that you were a token blind person, and I was gonna call you out on that. But after hearing all this stuff from you, I'm gonna put my hands up, say you're right. You get your status. Well, I don't have anything else for either of these people, unless you do, Seth.
Just stepped away.
I was gonna say, you're probably just watching the clock. Word, you're gonna be late for the game. So you know what? We'll call that a good time to wrap up. Sorry for the distraction, you guys. We're just squeezing it in, but you guys gave us a lot of good information. I enjoyed getting to know more. We had Garrett Scott on with Richie Flores about a year ago. Right. So we got familiar a little bit with Atlanta then, but man, the season you guys had was very impressive. I remember going into the third day of this 5-day tournament. That's when, only the best of the best are still out there fighting for the most part. And you guys at that point were the 13 seed and knocked off the Chicago Comets, making you the number 4 seed. I'm sorry, that happened late Wednesday, and you
Right.
went into Thursday as the number 4 seed. And I mean,
Right.
that was impressive. That was impressive. You guys still hung in there and finished 8th, but
Yes.
congratulations to you and your whole squad on a very successful start to your franchise, Coach.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna, like I say, we're gonna continue to march, and hopefully in the next couple of years we want to be in the top 5. We're shooting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why get out and do it if you're not shooting to, keep climbing higher? So.
We're all winners.
So now keep it rolling, and I'll be listening because I like good streams at a beat ball game. So I'm going to be listening to you, Rosina, whenever you're doing the Atlanta games. And I hope to be at the World Series next year. So even if you guys don't let me talk, I might just sit behind you so I could still hear your stream.
Yes, as you can all tell, Neil not being allowed to talk is something that happens all the time.
I'm giving a quick smack. So.
That's why I'm going to sit behind the stream so nobody can reach me when they go to hit me. And tell me.
I don't know. I got mom arms. I can reach behind.
That was funny. All right, you guys, thank you so much, man. Good luck to both of you. Appreciate you spending time with the show. You gave us some good content here. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
You guys have a
Thank
great
you so
day.
much for having me. Thank you for having me.
You bet. You guys be well. Thank you, Seth Dog. Thank you, Mr. Frank Porter, for all your work. And thank you, anybody and everybody that checked out the show. Don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Help us build. Share the show if you like it. Tell a friend. Do whatever. Help us build it. We're not doing it for us. We're just building it for the sport. So we will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Good night and send.
Hi.
Good night.
All right.